Aren't I supposed to get an alert when, no, there's the alert, okay. Hold on a second while I suck in my gut and get ready for this. Okay, so welcome to Tri-State Live on Facebook. And, you know, it's, what is this, Friday, you know, June 7th. Yesterday, you know, was D-Day, and for those of you, you know, with family members, and my grandfather, you know, was in World War II, you know, I think it's just, you know, appropriate to take a moment to reflect on what D-Day meant, you know, to us as a nation and to the world, you know, for sure. I think if you were in D-Day, you're probably 95, 96 years old type of thing, so I don't assume that we have any drivers, you know, that, you know, were in World War II, but certainly family members, you know, and so forth. So anyway, welcome to everybody to Facebook Live, you know, once again. There's several things, you know, I don't have real pressing things to discuss, but there's just a couple of things that I wanted to share with you and update with you. You know, first, I think it's important that we pass our prayers and our thoughts to Joanne Cordell. For those of you who know Joanne, she lost her husband, you know, this week, and Sam Luther was his first name, but he went by Sam. You know, Luther and Joanne have been with us for 3 years. You know, they were at home, you know, when Sam passed unexpectedly, but excuse me, Joanne, you know, our thoughts and prayers are with you, you know, at this difficult time, and wish that there was more that we could do for you, you know, there. Yeah, for those of you who know Joanne, perhaps, you know, you might want to take a second to reach out. You know, I apologize. I'm not emotional about it, but I've got a thing in my throat. Okay, so the safety, you know, inspection, nationwide safety blitz, you know, happened this week. I just talked with Kevin at Safety, you know, to get an idea of how we weathered that, and as far as we know, our fleet seemed to have gone through it pretty well, you know, so congratulations and kudos to everybody that, you know, may have gone through an inspection or not. You know, again, as a company, you know, we're obviously very, you know, aware, very sensitive, those kind of things. You know, but as far as the information we have right now, I think as a company, we went through it, you know, pretty well. So congratulations to everybody, and thank you, of course, for, you know, just being professionals. And if we do what we're supposed to do, you know, these random, you know, blitzes, and even though they're random, not their schedule, but you know, shouldn't be a big deal. And to my understanding, it wasn't a big deal, which I think you know, reflects well on us as a company, and certainly each of you individually as a driver. So thank you for that. We do have some new trucks in Phoenix. You know, we have one new trucks, and we may take some deliveries of more, you know, trucks into Phoenix. But in Joplin, in the coming weeks, we're going to have about 20 new Volvos that are coming in. I know all of you would like a new truck. You know, we replace our trucks every 3-4 years type of thing. So you know that we've got a plan in place, and if you don't get a new truck now, you didn't get a new truck last year, you're almost guaranteed a new truck next year, you know, type of thing. You know, but you know, if you feel like, you know, you've been with us for a long time, and for some reason, you know, whatever happened, you know, you're a company team, and you haven't gotten a new truck, you know, reach out, you know, and you know, we can kind of look to see, you know, what's going on, you know, type of thing. So, got a question?
Everyone's commenting in wanting to know where is the vest that you normally wear?
Yeah, fair enough. Here's the thing: is yesterday was 102 degrees, you know, here, and so. It's I was concerned that it's going to be too hot today. You know,
for a vest.
It's for a vest, yeah.
That would just put you over the
my
top.
My rule is 100 degrees or under. You know, I'll be sporting a vest. You know, there. So.
Okay.
Rest assured, I've got the shorts on here though. So okay.
And Jason Matthews says,
"What's up, Jason?"
He says, "How can we get a caution light that goes red when trucks come out of the terminal at the Richmond yard, like the fire stations have? Getting out of there is dangerous, to say the least." So
that's a good suggestion. Thank you, Jason. I'm going to make note of it. I don't have a quick answer for you, you know, on that, but let me make a note of that, because I know what you're talking about. I've been, Richmond, often, and I think that's a great suggestion, actually. So, okay. So anyway, new trucks, we do have them, for company, fleets. Again, I think we got 45, last year. I think we're scheduled to get like 60 new trucks this year. All mixes of, Volvo, Kenworth, and Freightliners. One of the questions we're adding, to the driver survey, just FYI, is we'd like to know what kind of brands drivers are interested in. I mean, it's I've seen Mack trucks out there. Mack's owned by Volvo, but it's many of you know trucks way better than we do. And again, I'm not promising that we're going to buy Max, or not promising we're going to buy Peterbilts, but TSMT and R&R has had Peterbilts before, and I know many of you like Peterbilts. So one of the survey questions that we are adding, to it is, what kind of brands of trucks should we look at, and why? If you have a particular brand, loyalty, why? I mean, is there something that we should need to consider in the equipment that we're not, considering? We want your inputs, there for sure. So, and there's a couple of other things that we'd just like to get information, from the fleet on. So, JD is going to be sending out, surveys, to owner operators, and then company drivers will have several opportunities, to do surveys, as well. Okay. 2 weeks ago, basically a week and a half ago, we had our second driver council, and I don't know how well you can see the board, on here, but I know the angle's a little bit skewed, here, but I kind of want to explain what happened in the driver council and what the driver council process really is. Okay, so we invite 5 teams. 3 company and 2 owner operators to be a part of the council, and they meet with myself, with Vonda Cooper, with Wade Fackrell, with Russ Thompson, as our executive, sponsoring that. Donnie Lester is in there, Rob and Bruce, as far as the equipment and breakdown. Everybody that is involved in changing how we do business is a part of that driver council. And last year we went into it with a lot of issues, a lot of problems, a lot of concerns. And I think we can confidently report that we addressed a huge amount of those, and we had Qualcomm issues. We had driver compensation concerns. We had macro issues, communication phone systems. And while they're still not perfect, I mean, we had significant improvement, on, that we were able to report, to the fleet, internally and externally on that. I will tell you that when we went into the first driver council last year, there was a lot of doubt, and many of the drivers that we invited last year to participate, they came in and Rod, who you are, with pretty dubious expectations, and in fact, was very upfront about, hey, I don't expect any results from this. These tend to be a waste of time, and you got to prove it type of thing. Well, I think we did prove it, and again, we're not perfect, and there's still things to improve on, but we got some good results. Well, we met again this year, and we invited two owner operators, the Parthens and the Roberts, and unfortunately the Roberts had a pre-planned cruise, so they couldn't make it, and then the Parthens had some weather things that came up that was threatening their home, at the last second, so they weren't able to make it. However, we did have the Ernst, the Knickerbockers, and Rod Groom and Mike Terwogler, represent the driver fleets, for the council. We came up. We did have the near fire, issues that we did last year, but we still came up with, significant, things that we wanted to work on. Let me kind of explain to you, the process internally of our, improvement processes, our just procedures, to track and mark, what projects we want to work on. It's kind of a project management, type, guidelines, for us. We call it the RAIL system, and RAIL stands for Rolling Action Item Log. Rolling Action Item Log. I think that's what RAIL stands for. Okay, so it's a process, that is common in management techniques, Six Sigma, lean manufacturing, type techniques, and we've adopted it here internally. Okay, I can show you what the RAIL was from last year. Okay, whoops. I'm not going to show you the RAIL from last year. I'm going to show you the RAIL from this year, the items that we came up with. Okay, and we started out by just whiteboarding, from drivers and office personnel, just any issue that we think needs to be addressed. I mean, safety has CSA concerns. Drivers come up with, again, more Qualcomm concerns. We have some CSR directions, related concerns. And those kind of things. So we just whiteboard everything, that we can. There's a minor conversation about it, but if we try to fix everything, we're just not going to get through, the process we need to get through. And so this year we came up with about 26 items that we wanted to at least have conversation on. Okay. And once we, put all the, list all of the, these 27 items, here on our RAIL, Rolling Action Item Log. Yeah, Frank's gonna beat me up because I should know what that stands for. Now we've got it. And then we go through and we do a voting system because, of these 27 items, if we try to fix all 27, at once, we're not gonna fix any of them. I mean, we'd rather focus on 2 or 3 main items, make sure we take care of those, fix those, and then continue to work on, other items that's on the RAIL list here, so they're not forgotten. Okay, so I'm not going to go through all 27 items, that were brought up for the driver council, but the top vote getters of issues that we need to work on. Has waste manifest tweaks. Apparently there's some things in the has waste manifest that still left some gaps, and left us vulnerable, to doing the placarding properly. So we're going to be, looking at that and reassessing that and doing more training on that, both internally and then, externally, for each of the drivers. Okay. The next thing that came up was customer coding issues. There's just And we kind of lumped several of those, together. Some of the coding's not right, and we were able to identify why the coding's not right, but it's a heavy lift, to get those things fixed. There's still some Loadmaster issues. Loadmaster is our internal, software that, we do our planning and dispatching, processes, with. We understand that GPS locations on work orders or on dispatch would be helpful. Now again, one of the big problems we had last year was too many Qualcomm messages. And we reduced the total volume of Qualcomm messages by about 40%. I think we're still sending out too many Qualcomm messages still, so we're continuing to work on that process. Chris Stevens, is and doesn't even know about this yet, but Chris Stevens, be leading, continue to lead that charge, and he's done great work, heretofore, on that. But again, GPS locations, we're going to try to get more and more of those added, but, we have to be aware of each piece of information we share. Are we adding to the volume of Qualcomm messages that you're already getting too many of, so those are things that we want to, to really reflect on before we, say, hey, we're going to put this on every dispatch type of thing. Make sure that is something, that the predominant, majority of our fleet does want. And then there's still some directions that we need to clean up. And Vonda, from last year's driver council to now, I know they reached out to about 100 of our customers and got a lot of those cleaned up. But we have many, many more hundreds, left, in our system that we need to continue to work on. And then Rod, you can see here, pointed out that for our company drivers, there's something in our system that wasn't recording all miles, and so we needed to look at that to make sure that our drivers were being compensated, for everything that, that they're supposed to be. So, anyway, there's many other things that, that's on the list, and if for those of you can read it, some of them are called stroke of pen items. We didn't run out the boat. It's just the things that, hey, we need to do it, we need to fix it, type of thing. Some of the stroke of pen items is better communication on how to find permits. There's confusion about, when you go into Joplin in particular, do you get your permits, in the little room out by the lodge, or what ones do you have to come inside, the big house, to get permits? We need to do a better job of communicating that. That's not something to vote on, or, we just need to do it, type of thing. We're working on some driver recognition programs. JD is leading, driver of the quarter, driver of the year, initiatives. But more than that, we need a way to recognize, just random acts of kindness, that that our drivers, we get customers that call us in and say, hey, your driver Joe and Joanne, were great. They helped us with this, and just wanted to give you, those drivers, some recognition. We have other drivers. The Knickerbockers are part of the council, and they shared, and their name escapes me, but some assistance that they received from another team, in our fleet. So we need to do a better job of creating a recognition, process system, and we're working on that, type of thing as well. Permit updating process is, those are a little clunky, so that's a stroke of the pen item that we, will, have to get fixed, type of thing. So. Anyway, I just want to give a quick report on the driver council and what we did last year and some of the things that we'll be working on coming from this year. Any questions or anything that?
We have a question, but it's not about driver council.
Okay.
Jason Matthews says, would it be possible to invest in scales for all the yards, not the 80-foot scale, just a scale to axle out weights?
Yeah. I don't know the answer to that. I don't. But I'll ask. Okay. Thanks for that question. Okay. Okay. And then I've got two other things here. Let me segue to a really important topic here that for some of you that may be watching will be interested in. I know a bunch of you have dogs. I know Chuck and Jackie are watching this, and I know they have a dog in the truck. I'm looking at adopting a dog from a rescue shelter, okay? So I want to share with you 3 options that we have here. This is Chansey. Can you see that picture? This is Chansey, who's here in Arizona at a shelter. And Chansey is a lab retriever mix. And we'll see, apparently 42-pound Chansey, here, okay? Chansey likes chicken, is my understanding. So Chansey is a dog that I'd like to potentially adopt. Another option is a Chihuahua and Parson Jack Russell Terrier mix. Okay, I don't know what his name is. What's his name?
Sweet Pea.
Sweet Pea. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Sweet Pea. This is Sweet Pea, and apparently his future so bright he's got to wear shades. Okay. Now this is a dog that's in Joplin that the Joplin folks have been. This is Delilah, and Delilah is a pit bull mix with 1 blue eye and 1 brown eye, beautiful dog. So, if you have any experience with those kind of dogs, if you have kind of any recommendations for me as a potential new dog owner, I'm open to it and would appreciate your advice there. So, that's really all that I have. Brittany, anything?
Nope, no other questions.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you, everybody. We appreciate all of you. We're getting into the hotter, weather here. Hopefully, that means more stable weather for the most part. Although I know we're still getting pretty shaky, rains and floods in some parts of the country, and everything. Seems like there's always something that you guys are dealing with. We appreciate you and thank you for your work. And we'll see you soon. Thank you.